share your screen now. The next speaker is Karunava Sil from IIT Bhubaneswar. Karunava, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, and you can share your screen now. Yeah, we hear you. Very good. So Karunava will now speak on pole skipping and chaos in anisotropic plasma, and he's from IIT Bhubaneswar. Please
Okay,
start.
thank you. So I'd like to start by thanking the organizers for this opportunity. So today I'll be going to speak about this recently observed phenomena known as the pole skipping and its relation to many-body chaos for an anisotropic theory. So this is based on this paper, recent papers. Okay, so that this is the outline. So my talk will be mostly in two parts, two main parts. So after a brief introduction, in the first part, I will try to discuss in some details the basic idea behind this pole skipping phenomena. And then in the second part, I will show some calculations of these pole skipping points for this anisotropic theory, and then I will summarize. Okay, so recently there has been a growing interest in the study of quantum chaos in many-body system. In particular, many interesting insights into quantum chaos has been developed, especially in the context of black hole physics. So, so for quantum system, we usually diagnose the chaotic behavior by this certain out of time ordered correlation function. So this is first observed by Larkin and Ovchinnikov, and then further developed by Maldacena, Senker, and Stanford. So the out of time ordered correlation function is given by this following thermal expectation value of this double commutator involving two generic operators W and V. And this commutator basically captures the effect of any early perturbation V at T0 and X0 to some later measurement W at some time T. Now, for a large class of system, including the holographic system, it is observed that this OTOC actually grows exponentially with some overall rate lambda L, which is known as the Lyapunov exponent. And also the growth rate also depends on another parameter called the butterfly velocity VB. And this butterfly velocity is actually computes the speed of the correlation in space. So now, yeah, so Maldacena, Shankar, and Stanford also observed that there is an upper bound in the Lyapunov exponent, which is in natural units equal to 2 pi by beta, and for maximally chaotic system, this bound actually saturates. Now, this computation of OTOC in some cases is not that easy to evaluate, especially at finite temperature. So on the other hand, the phenomenon of pole skipping actually provides an easier and also efficient way to calculate the parameters of chaos, namely the butterfly velocity and the Lyapunov exponent. And also, as I will also explain, so you just need to do near horizon analysis of linearized Einstein's equation to get those parameters. Okay, so this is let me now discuss the basic idea of behind this phenomenon. So what these authors, namely Blake, Lee, Liu, and also Grozdanov and collaborators, they have shown that, or they have realized that in addition to OTOC, one can also realize the chaotic behavior in many-body system from at the level of energy density 2-point function. And in other words, this exponential growth of the OTOC has this manifestation in the energy density retarded Green's function, such that the quasi-normal modes for collective excitations has a direct relation with these parameters of chaos, mainly lambda, the Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly velocity, through this kind of relation. So these special points or in the complex omega on the complex frequency and momentum plane, actually what happens that at this special complex values, which are related to lambda L and VB. So the retarded Green's function, the energy density retarded Green's function fails to be defined uniquely. So this, of course, I will explain in detail later. So this phenomena actually first observed by these authors Blakely and Liu for an effective field theory, a general effective field theory of chaos. And what these authors have shown that the exponential behavior actually originates from these interactions between interaction and propagation of hydrodynamic modes for energy conservation. Okay, so now this phenomena is an universal feature of any general holographic system. So the primary motivation to calculate the Polsky, to study this phenomena for this anisotropic plasma, actually just to show a greater generality of this phenomena for a large class of holographic system. Okay, so let's see what happens to this energy density Green's function at these special points. So these authors, Blake, Davison, Grozdanov, and also Hong Liu, they have shown that that the line of poles of the energy density retarded Green's function and also the line of zeros of this quantity actually process each other or pass through each other at right exactly at these special values of W and Q, and that are related to the parameters of chaos. So what happens that at these special points W and Q, the retarded Green's function actually takes this 0 by 0 form, and hence it is not well defined, or it is not uniquely defined at this point. So let's try to understand at least the gravitational origin of this non-uniqueness of this retarded Green's function with this simplest example of a scalar field psi. So we know that a general solution of the scalar field propagating in an appropriate background at the near the boundary, which is at r equals to infinity, has this general form. So it consists of two modes. One is the non-normalizable mode, and the other one is the normalizable mode. And following the prescription as given by Son and Sarinets, the retarded Green's function is defined as the ratio of psi b to psi a. Now, for generic values of W and Q, once we impose the ingoing boundary condition near the horizon, psi b and psi a, this ratio is fixed exactly, and hence the retarded Green's function can be defined uniquely. However, at the special values of W and Q, what happens is that there exists one extra ingoing solution near the horizon. Okay, so we now have, instead of one, we now have two independent solution near the horizon which are ingoing, and hence the psi a and psi b now can take arbitrary values. Moreover, now we can take linear combinations of these two independent solutions, and we can construct a particular linear combination such that there is only this psi a is 0, okay, which corresponds to the pole of this retarded Green's function. And also we can construct some other linear combinations, such that this time psi b is 0, which corresponds to the zeros of this retarded Green's function. So that means at this special values of W and Q, this retarded Green's function have this 0 over 0 form. So this is the reason for this non-uniqueness of the retarded Green's function. So now let's see with this example of a scalar field, the existence of an extra ingoing solution near the horizon. So for this, we consider this action of a scalar field, a massive scalar field, which is propagating in a planar ADS black hole solutions. The metric is written in terms of this ingoing Eddington-Finkelstein coordinate, because we are doing a near horizon analysis. So which is defined as this, where r star is the tortoise coordinate. And so what we'll do is that we'll write the answers for this scalar field as this form, where W is the frequency and Q is the momentum, and such that the equation of motion for this scalar field can be written in this form. And now we take this answers for this solution psi near the horizon at this form r minus r is to the power alpha, and we realize that this alpha, the exponent alpha can take two possible values. One is alpha 1 equals to 0, and the other one is alpha 2 equals to I omega by 2 pi t. So where t is basically the Hawking temperature. So for any generic values of W, there is only one solution which is regular near the horizon, namely alpha 1 equals to 0. However, if you consider these special values of W in the lower half of this complex plane, namely minus 2I by t times n, where n is some positive integer, then you find that the other exponent alpha 2 is equal to n, which is a positive integer, and hence both alpha 1 and alpha 2 are now regular near the horizon. Now, moving to the gravitational perturbations. Now, because in this case we now have multiple components of the metric perturbation delta G mu nu. So things are a little complicated in this case, but the essence is basically the same. So what happens is that in this case, so we first write the perturbation in this expansion, Taylor series expansion near the horizon, and what will happen is that this time what will happen is that at the special point, at the special value of W and Q, the VB component. So we are writing this, we are writing everything in terms of ingoing Einstein Eddington Finkelstein coordinate. So what will happen is that our VB component, only the VB component of the Einstein's equation this time will be trivial at the special values of W and Q. So writing the VB component of the Einstein's equation with this general form, where we have f, g, and h, some function of W and Q. So what will happen is that at the special value of W and Q, all these three functions f, g, and h will be exactly 0, and hence this equation will be trivially satisfied. So now the consequence is that we now have only a few equation, one less equation to solve, and that means that we have one extra ingoing modes near the horizon, just like the scalar field case. Okay, so this concludes the discussion about the basic idea of pole skipping. Now I'll go to this computation of pole skipping points for this anisotropic theory. So, okay, so first I will start with the very small discussion about this anisotropic theory. So this is basically a supergravity solution, which is first given by Matthias and Tranquinelli, and this is dual to this strongly coupled super Yang-Mills theory at finite temperature with anisotropy along a spatial direction. So now this is the 5-dimensional action which involves the metric, dilaton, and the axion fields, and the solution can be realized by this metric, where the anisotropy is considered along the x1 directions, and here we define the anisotropy parameter by this small letter a, and also we assume that the anisotropy is weak, such that this dimensionless ratio a over t is very, very less than 1, where t is the Hawking temperature, which is again can be calculated up to quadratic order in a, and it is given by this expression. So let's see the pole skipping points for the pole skipping phenomena for scalar field. So this is the equation of motion which one can get by varying the above action, and then we consider linear perturbations to this field, and the perturbation can be written in this plane wave form, where we consider the momentum to propagate along the direction of anisotropy, which is x1, such that using these answers one can write this equation, rewrite this equation in this form, where s1, s2, s1 tilde, and s2 tilde are some function of WQR and RH. And one can see the appearance of this anisotropy parameter in the equation of motion, where we kept terms up to quadratic order in A. So, okay, so now we have to do the near horizon analysis. And for that, we write the scalar field in this form near the Taylor expand form near the horizon. And we just substitute back into the equation. And then again, we do the near horizon expansion. And at lowest order near the horizon, we get this equation. Okay. So here, psi naught and phi naught and phi 1 are basically the components of zeroth order and linear order term in the near horizon analysis of this scalar field. So now this equation will be trivially satisfied if the coefficient of both phi naught and phi 1 are 0, and by doing so we get this result. So this is the frequency W, and this is the wave vector q1 square. So these are basically the special values or the pole skipping points at first order. These are the first order pole skipping points, and at these special values, this equation will be trivially satisfied. Now, so this analysis can be extended to include the pole skip, or to calculate the pole skipping points which are appearing at higher order in near horizon expansion. And the analysis is more or less the same, so I'll not go into the details, and I'll show the final result. So here the vertical axis is basically the imaginary imaginary frequency, and the horizontal axis is the imaginary momentum, and these are the points or the places where the pole skipping phenomenon is occurring. So this is basically the first order points, and this is the second order and the third, and so on. So one thing to note that in this example for scalar field, all the pole skipping points are appearing in the lower half of the complex plane, and so these are not particularly related to the chaos. Okay. On the other hand, pole skipping points which are appearing in the upper half of the complex plane will be related to the phenomenon of chaos, and that will happen for the energy density Green's function, on which I am now going to discuss. Okay, so the pole skipping energy density Green's function. So for this case, we need to consider the linearized perturbation of the metric, the scalar field, and the axiom. And now we consider the first, in the first case, we consider the perturbation to propagate along the direction of anisotropy, which is x1, so that the non-zero component of the metric perturbations are this in the ingoing coordinate. And then we do the same near horizon analysis. We first write down the perturbation in this Taylor series expansion, such that this time the VB component of the Einstein's equation at the lowest order is written as this. Okay. Now this equation will be trivially satisfied for these particular values of W and Q. Now you can see that the pole skipping is now occurring at the upper half of this complex plane, and now we can from this pole skipping points we can obtain the Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly expression for Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly velocity, which are given by this. Okay, so now, okay, so the Lyapunov exponent actually saturates the chaos bound. It's equal to 2 pi t. However, the butterfly velocity actually receives the corrections due to the anisotropy parameter, which is B. So B is basically the dimensionless anisotropy parameter.
Karunawa, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So now let me discuss what happens when we consider the perturbation along the x2 directions. Again, the analysis is the same, and again the butterfly velocity is given. Actually, only the butterfly velocity receives the corrections due to the spatial anisotropy, and the Lyapunov exponent again saturates the chaos bound. Okay, so now so I will show by some explicit numerical calculations that the dispersion relation for transverse momentum diffusion actually constrained to pass through these pole skipping points in the complex plane. Okay, so basically the dispersion relation that arise from the pole structure of retarded Green's function. So for this case, because we are considering the transverse momentum directions, so we consider this particular component of this retarded Green's function, and we'll show that the dispersion relation is actually constant to pass through this pole skipping point. So in this case, we assume again the perturbation to propagate along the anisotropy direction x1, and with this the non-zero components for this metric perturbations will be only these two, htx2 and hx1x2. And now we can take a particular combinations of these perturbations such that now you can construct a gauge invariant variable ZV, and the linearized Einstein's equation can be written in a closed form involving this gauge invariant variable ZV, where all these are functions of W, this R tilde, S and S tilde are function of W and Q, and V is again the anisotropy parameter. Now to get this, to determine this dispersion relation, we need to solve for the pole of this retarded Green's function, and that can be done numerically using the prescription by Koptun and Sorinets. And so one needs to first impose, one needs to first write the solution as this following power series expansion, and then one needs to impose the Dirichlet boundary condition at the boundary, which is at u equals to 0. Okay, and so this equation has to be solved numerically to get the position of these poles. And so in this figure, so these blue points are basically the poles in the complex plane, and so this is basically the exact dispersion relations. If you follow these poles, so this is basically the exact dispersion relations, and the pole skipping points are basically these points where the vertical dashed and the vertical horizontal lines crosses each other, and one can see that this dispersion relation exactly passes through the first three pole skipping points. So here I have shown only the first three pole skipping points. This is the at order 1, and this is at order 2, and this is order 3. And also you expect that this will also pass through the higher order pole skipping points as well. And this computation is done with the particular value of this anisotropy parameter, which is equal to 0.5. Okay, so now let me summarize. So the phenomenon of pole skipping is basically an universal feature for a large class of holographic theories. And so this particular example of anisotropic parameter is just to support this comment. And the gravitational origin of this phenomena can be realized from the near horizon behavior of the linearized Einstein's equation. Also, we have shown that this pole skipping occurring in the upper half complex plane is related to the energy, to the parameters of chaos, only the upper half planes pole skipping points, and also the Lyapunov exponent saturates the chaos bound, and only the butterfly velocity receives the corrections due to the spatial anisotropy. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So I just like to mention that currently me with Sandeep, who is a PhD student here at IIT Bhubaneswar, we are actually trying to see this phenomena for a little string, gravity dual of little string theory, which is basically has this inherent non-local behavior. So we are trying to see the effect of non-locality to this this pole skipping points. So yeah, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Karuna. Thank you for keeping to time. So Loga has his hand up. Loga, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Karuna. So one slightly, like general question about this pole skipping.
Yeah.
So this particular thing that there's a place where there's a 0 in the numerator and denominator.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. That there is a common 0. Like, why do we expect that this will survive? Let us say if you add in interactions. let's say you calculated the 2-point function with some interactions in the bulk. Like why do you think this will survive? Why is this not just an artifact of just solving, linearized equations and so on?
So, okay. No. So, you by interaction, do you mean matter fields? Adding matter fields?
Yeah. Let us say, like for example, there's some loop correction, right, or something else. So there may be some tree-level corrections. There may be some loop corrections. Let's say 2-point
Yeah. So
function.
actually, this has been. Yeah. Actually, people have done that actually. So that's why this is a very general feature of this, at least for holographic theories. So for a large class of system, including these interactions and all these higher derivative corrections, you can also add some stringy corrections. Also, you can add different matter fields. And for all these backgrounds, people have shown that this phenomena actually is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not like. Do you know who has done these calculations?
Yes. So this MIT group, so this basically Hong Liu, Mike Blake, and also Saso Grozdanov. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they did loop corrections, but okay. So second question, and then I'll just end. So there was a paper that Hong and his collaborators wrote. It's in this year. Hong and Blake, basically, Hong Liu and Mike Blake.
Yeah.
Where they were saying something like this pole skipping really works only when the Lyapunov exponent is maximum. Unless I misunderstood that statement. Like, do you have any?
Yes. So I understand the question. So for the maximally chaotic system, actually this has been we have this result. But if you go away from the maximally chaotic system, maximal chaos. So this is actually done by this Mark Meji and Sarosi, all this and the collaborators. That suppose you, so they have, the example they took is basically the SYK chain with a large charge SYK chain. So where they have there is a coupling term and that can be tuned. So whenever they are going away from the maximally chaos, maximally chaotic region, then this phenomena seems to. So it is basically giving the same answer that the Lyapunov exponent is actually saturating the chaos bound, which should not. So that's why they have in the recent paper they have proposed a new proposal for this phenomena, but it is just a proposal. It has not been proved. So. Yeah, so where they have mentioned that the Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly velocity in that proposal, so that will be replaced by the Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly velocity, the contribution from the stress energy tensor. So only the contribution from the stress energy tensor to the Lyapunov exponent and the butterfly velocity will be important. But this is just a proposal and it is not proved.
Okay, there's a question from the ICTS room, I guess. Please go ahead. It's unmuted, but we still aren't hearing anyone. I can't hear anything. I don't know if anyone is speaking there. Now it's muted, showing as muted. If you still have a question, please try to unmute and ask. Does anyone hear anything? Is it only me? Karunava, you're not hearing anything, are you?
No.
Okay. I think then, since in view of time shortage, we will move on. And ICTS, please, you can get back to us and ask the question later on. So, yeah, you can ask the question here and we'll bring it in the discussion session. All right. So very good. Are there any other questions for Karunava? Okay. If not, then